The stars looked cold and distant through the thick glass of the observation deck. Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her hand against the window and watched the planet below. Kepler 442b was supposed to be empty. The long-range scans had shown no signs of life, no cities, no movement. Just rocks and old ruins that might hold secrets about a dead alien race. "We're getting close to the landing site," Captain Jake Morrison said behind her. His voice was calm, but Elena could hear the excitement underneath. This was what they had traveled 3 years to find. Elena turned around to face him. Jake was tall and strong, with short brown hair and steady blue eyes. His military training showed in the way he stood and moved. She had worked with him for 2 years now, and she trusted him completely. "The structures are bigger than we thought," Elena said. "Much bigger. Some of them go deep underground." Jake nodded and looked at the data screen. "Any signs of technology?" "Still working. Some energy readings, but very weak. It's like the power is almost gone." Elena pulled up more data on her tablet. "The buildings are made of something that looks like metal, but it's organic. Living metal, or at least it used to be alive." The ship's communication system crackled to life. "Captain Morrison, to the bridge, please. We have a situation." Jake and Elena looked at each other. They had been in space long enough to know that situations were never good news. They walked quickly through the narrow hallways of the New Horizon. The ship was not big, but it was home to the 12-person crew that had volunteered for this mission. On the bridge, Lieutenant Sam Parker was staring at his instruments with a worried look on his face. "Captain, we're picking up movement in the structures. Something is definitely alive down there." "Show me," Jake said. The main screen lit up with thermal images of the alien city. Most of it was cold and dark, but in the center there was a warm spot. It moved slowly through the buildings like someone walking. "Just one heat signature?" Elena asked. "Just one," Sam confirmed, "but it's big. Maybe 7 feet tall, and the temperature is much higher than human normal." Dr. Lisa Chun looked up from her science station. "The energy readings are stronger now. Whatever is down there, it's connected to the city's power system." Jake studied the images. "Could it be a machine? Some kind of guardian left behind?" "The movement patterns are too organic," Elena said. "It walks like a living thing. It stops. It changes direction. It even seems to be looking around." "Looking for what?" Jake asked. Before anyone could answer, the ship's sensors started making loud warning sounds. Sam's hands flew over his controls. "Captain, we're being scanned. Something down there is looking at us." The bridge fell silent except for the steady beeping of the instruments. On the screen, the heat signature had stopped moving. It was standing in what looked like the center of the city, and it seemed to be facing up toward their ship. "It knows we're here," Elena whispered. "The question is, what does it want?" Jake said. The scanning stopped as suddenly as it had started. The heat signature began moving again, but this time it was heading toward what looked like a landing platform. "It's going to the surface," Sam reported, "like it's waiting for us." Jake turned to Elena. "What do you think? First contact protocols?" Elena felt her heart beating faster. This was why she had become a xenobiologist. This was the moment she had dreamed about since she was a child. "We have to go down there. This could be the most important discovery in human history." "It could also be the most dangerous," Jake said. "We don't know anything about this being. It could be hostile. Or it could be the last survivor of its race, waiting for someone to find it," Elena replied. "We can't just fly away." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had followed him across the galaxy. They trusted him to make the right choice. "All right, we go down, but we do it carefully. Full environmental suits, weapons ready, and we stay together." 2 hours later, Jake stood on the landing platform of the alien city. The buildings around him were beautiful and strange. They curved and twisted like they had grown instead of being built. The surface was smooth and warm to the touch. Even through his gloves, Elena walked beside him, her scanner beeping softly as it recorded everything. "The atmosphere is breathable," she said. "But there's something else in the air. Some kind of energy field." Behind them, Sam and Lisa followed with their weapons ready. The city was quiet except for their footsteps and the soft hum of power flowing through the living walls. There, Elena pointed ahead. The heat signature was coming from that building. The structure was larger than the others, with an entrance that looked like a flower that had opened to welcome them. As they got closer, Jake could see that there was light inside, soft, blue light that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. "Stay back," Jake said. "Let me go first." He stepped through the entrance and into the most beautiful room he had ever seen. The walls were covered with patterns that seemed to move and change. The floor was soft under his feet, and the air hummed with energy. In the center of the room, she was waiting. She was tall and graceful, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow from within. Her hair was long and white, and her eyes were the color of deep ocean water. She wore a simple dress that looked like it was made from the same living material as the buildings, but it was her hands that made Jake's blood run cold. They were surrounded by crackling energy, blue and white lightning that danced around her fingers. Even from across the room, he could feel the power radiating from her. She saw him and took a step forward. Her face was sad and hopeful at the same time. She raised one hand toward him, and the energy around it grew brighter. "Jake, get back!" Elena shouted from behind him. "Those energy readings are off the charts." But Jake didn't move. He looked into the alien woman's eyes and saw something that made him forget about the danger. He saw loneliness. Deep, terrible loneliness that had lasted for a very long time. She spoke, and her voice was like music. The words were in a language he didn't understand, but the meaning was clear. She was asking him to come closer. "Jake, don't," Elena said. "We don't know what that energy will do to you." The alien woman heard Elena's voice and looked past Jake to see the other humans. Her eyes widened with surprise and wonder. She said something else, and this time Jake thought he heard sadness in her voice. "She's been alone," Jake said quietly, "for a long time." The woman nodded, as if she understood his words. She held out her hand again, and the energy around it pulsed brighter. Jake could see that she was fighting some kind of internal battle. "She wants to touch me," Jake said. "But something is stopping her." Elena's scanner was beeping frantically. "Jake, that energy field around her hands would kill you instantly. The readings are showing enough power to stop your heart." The alien woman heard the fear in Elena's voice and pulled her hand back. She looked down at her hands with disgust and said something that sounded like a curse. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He stepped forward and began to remove his gloves. "Jake, no!" Elena screamed, but Jake was already moving. He pulled off his gloves and held out his bare hands toward the woman. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not afraid." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She shook her head and backed away, but Jake kept walking toward her. "Trust me," he said. She looked at him for a long moment, then slowly reached out her hand. The energy around her fingers crackled and sparked as they came closer to Jake's skin when their hands touched. The world exploded into blue light. Jake felt the energy flow through him like lightning, but instead of pain he felt something else. He felt her memories, her emotions, her desperate need for contact with another living being. And somehow, impossibly, he survived. The woman stared at him in shock and wonder. For the first time in 300 years, her touch had not brought death. She smiled, and Jake knew that nothing would ever be the same. The blue light faded slowly, and Jake found himself still standing. His hands were warm where they touched the alien woman's skin, but he was alive. Around him, he could hear Elena and the others shouting, but their voices seemed far away. The woman was staring at him with wide eyes full of wonder and disbelief. She said something in her musical language, and Jake felt a strange tingling in his head. Suddenly, he could understand her words. "How are you alive?" she whispered. Jake looked down at their joined hands. The energy was still there, dancing between their fingers, but it felt warm and gentle now. "I don't know," he said, "but I am." She pulled her hands back quickly, afraid that the spell might break. But Jake was still breathing, still standing. She covered her mouth with her hands and began to cry. "Jake, are you okay?" Elena called from the entrance. She was afraid to come closer, but Jake could hear the worry in her voice. "I'm fine," Jake sighed, not taking his eyes off the woman. "Better than fine." The woman looked at Elena and the others, then back at Jake. "More of your kind," she said. "I have not seen life like yours before. What's your name?" Jake asked. "I am Zara," she said. "I am the last of the Nephi's people." Jake felt sadness wash over him, but he realized it wasn't his own emotion. It was coming from Zara through their connection. "You're alone?" he said. Zara nodded. "For 300 of your years, I have been alone. My touch brings death to all living things, until you—" She looked at his hands again. "How do you survive what kills all others?" Elena stepped forward carefully. "Jake, we need to get you back to the ship. We need to understand what happened." But Jake didn't move. "She's been alone for 300 years, Elena. We can't just leave her." "We're not leaving her," Elena said. "But we need to study this. We need to understand why you can touch her when nothing else can." Zara listened to their conversation, and Jake felt her fear growing. "You want to study me like a creature," she said. "Like a thing to be examined." "No," Jake said firmly. "As a person. As someone who might be able to help us understand each other." Zara looked at him for a long moment. "You speak truth. I can feel it through our connection." Elena's scanner was beeping again. "Jake, there's some kind of energy link between you two. It's like you're sharing the same electrical field." Jake felt it too. When Zara was happy, he felt lighter. When she was sad, his chest felt heavy. And when she was afraid, his heart beat faster. "Can you show us your city?" Jake asked Zara. "Help. U.S. understand your people?" Zara smiled for the first time since they had met. "Yes, but you must stay close to me. The city still remembers my people, and it may try to protect me from strangers." They walked through the beautiful, organic buildings together. Zara explained how her people had grown their cities from living metal, how they had shaped the very atoms to create homes that could think and feel. "We were healers," Zara said as they stood in what had once been a great medical center. "We could cure any sickness, heal any wound, with our touch. What happened to your people?" Elena asked. Zara's face became dark with pain. "A plague came." "From the stars?" "It killed quickly and spread faster than we could stop it. My people tried to change me, to make my healing touch stronger, but something went wrong." Jake felt her anguish as if it were his own. "Your healing touch became deadly." "Yes," Zara whispered. "I became death instead of life. I killed my own people when I tried to save them. I am the last because I am the most cursed." Sam and Lisa had been quiet, recording everything with their instruments. Now Sam spoke up. "The energy readings are incredible." "Your whole city is powered by some kind of biological system," Zara nodded. "The city lives. It was grown from the same source as our healing power. It dies slowly as I grow more isolated. But now Jake is here," Elena said. "And he can touch you safely. Maybe that changes things." As if to test her words, Jake reached out and took Zara's hand again. The energy flowed between them, but this time Jake felt something more. He saw flashes of memories that weren't his own. He saw Zara's people in their golden age, beautiful beings who could heal with a touch and create living art with their minds. "I can see your memories," Jake said in wonder. "And I can see yours," Zara replied. "Your people are warriors, but also builders. You create in different ways than we did." Elena was studying her instruments. "The energy connection is getting stronger. It's like you're becoming synchronized." Over the next few hours, Jake and Zara explored the city together. She showed him the great libraries where knowledge was stored in living crystals. She showed him the gardens where plants grew, in patterns that told stories. And she showed him the empty homes where families had once lived in harmony. "Your people were artists," Jake said as they stood in a room filled with sculptures that moved and changed. "We were many things," Zara said, "but we were always together. We shared our thoughts and feelings through touch. Being alone is not natural for us," Jake understood. Through their connection, he could feel how much she had suffered in her isolation. "You don't have to be alone anymore." "But I do," Zara said sadly. "When you leave, I will be alone again. And I cannot leave this place. My touch would kill your people. Not all of them, Jake said. Not me. Elena had been listening to their conversation. Jake, we need to get back to the ship. The others will be worried. But as they prepared to leave, Zara's fear spiked. Jake felt it like a physical pain. She's afraid we won't come back, he said. We will come back, Elena promised. But we need to understand what's happening between you two. Zara looked at Jake with desperate eyes. Promise me you will return. Promise me you will not leave me alone again. Jake felt her terror through their connection. 300 years of solitude had left deep scars on her mind. I promise. He sighed, I'll come back. They returned to the ship, but Jake found it hard to concentrate on anything else. He could still feel Zara's presence in his mind, like a distant song that never stopped playing. During the medical examinations, he answered Elena's questions, but part of him was always thinking about the lonely woman in the alien city. Your brain patterns have changed, Dr. Lisa Chun told him as she studied the scan results. There are new neural pathways forming, connecting to areas we've never seen active before. Is it dangerous? Jake asked. We don't know yet, Lisa said. But whatever is happening, it's changing you at a fundamental level, Elena joined them in the medical bay. The energy readings from the city are fluctuating. It's like it's responding to your emotional state. Jake closed his eyes and focused on his connection with Zara. Even from the ship, he could feel her loneliness. She's in pain, he said. Being separated is hurting her. Jake, you've only known her for one day, Elena said gently. You can't base decisions on emotions this strong this quickly. But Jake shook his head. This isn't just emotion, it's something deeper. The connection between us is real and it's growing stronger. That night, Jake dreamed of Zara's memories. He saw her. People in their final days, desperate and dying. He saw her trying to heal them and watching in horror as her touch brought death instead of life. He felt her guilt and pain as if they were his own. When he woke up, he made a decision. He was going back to the city, and this time he wasn't leaving. Zara alone. The bond between them was just beginning to form, and Jake knew that nothing would ever be the same for either of them. Jake woke up before dawn, his mind full of dreams that weren't his own. He had seen Zara's world as it used to be, full of life and beauty. The images were so real that he could almost smell the flowers that grew in living harmony with the Nethys. People. Elena found him in the observation deck, staring down at the planet. You didn't sleep well, she said. It wasn't a question. I dreamed of her world, Jake said, before the plague. Elena, you can't imagine how beautiful it was. Elena sat down beside him. The connection between you two is getting stronger. Lisa's scans show that your brain patterns are starting to match hers. Is that bad? We don't know yet. But Jake, you need to be careful. This kind of neural bonding could change who you are permanently. Jake looked at her with tired eyes. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Before Elena could answer, the ship's communication system crackled to life. Captain Morrison to the bridge. We have a problem. On the bridge, Lieutenant Sam Parker was looking worried. Captain, we're getting strange readings from the surface. The energy output from the city has increased by 300%. Jake felt a spike of fear that wasn't his own. Something's wrong with Zara. How do you know that? Elena asked. I can feel her. She's afraid. Jake was already moving toward the shuttle bay. I have to go down there. Wait, Elena called after him. We should go together. No time, Jake said. Something is happening to her right now. He took the shuttle down to the city alone, ignoring Elena's protests over the radio. As he landed, he could see that the buildings were glowing brighter than before. The energy patterns in the walls were moving faster. Like a heart beating too quickly. Jake ran through the streets to the central building where he had first met Zara. He found her in the same room, but she was different. Her skin was glowing, brighter, and the energy around her hands was crackling with violent power. Zara, he called out. She turned to him, and he saw pain in her eyes. Jake, stay back. Something is wrong. The connection between us is making my power stronger. Jake ignored her warning and walked closer. What's happening? I don't know. After you left, I began to remember things. Not just my own memories, but the memories of my people, all of them. She held her head in her hands. The knowledge is too much. I can't control it. Jake reached out to touch her, but she stepped back. No, if you touch me now, I might hurt you. The power is too strong. Jake could feel her pain through their connection. It was like a fire burning in his mind. Let me help you. You don't understand, Zara said desperately. I'm remembering how my people died. I'm feeling their pain as they died from the plague, and I'm remembering what I did to them when I tried to save them. Through their neural link, Jake began to see what she was seeing. He saw the great healing centers of the Nethys people, where the sick and injured came to be cured. He saw Zara as she had been before the plague, young and confident, her healing touch bringing life and health to everyone she met. Then he saw the plague arrive. It came from space, carried by traders from another world. It spread quickly through the Nethys people, causing their living metal technology to turn against them. The buildings began to die, the healing centers became places of death, and the people fell sick faster than they could be cured. Show me more, Jake said softly. Zara looked at him with tears in her eyes. You don't want to see this. Yes, I do. I want to understand. She reached out her hand and Jake took it without hesitation. The energy flowed between them, but this time it was different. Instead of just feeling her emotions, Jake was pulled completely into her memories. He saw the desperate attempts to save the Nethys people. He saw the greatest healers working together to modify Zara's abilities, to make her touch powerful enough to cure the plague. They changed her at the deepest level, connecting her to the living energy that powered their entire civilization. It worked at first, Zara's voice whispered in his mind. I could cure the plague, but the modification was too strong. I became connected to the death energy as well as the life energy. Jake watched in horror as Zara's healing touch began to kill instead of cure. He felt her anguish as she realized what she had become. He saw her try to touch a dying child and watched the life drain from the small body instantly. The survivors feared me, Zara continued. They locked me away, hoping to find a way to reverse what they had done. But the plague killed them all before they could find a cure. Jake lived through 300 years of loneliness in the space of a few minutes. He felt Zara's despair as she watched her city slowly die around her. He felt her guilt as she blamed herself for the destruction of her people. But you weren't responsible, Jake said when the vision ended. You were trying to save them. I failed them, Zara said. I became the very thing that destroyed them. Jake held her hands tighter. No, you became their last hope. And you're still alive, which means their knowledge and their culture survived through you. Through their connection, Jake began to understand something that Zara had missed. The modification to her abilities hadn't just made her deadly. It had also made her a living repository of her people's knowledge and memories. Zara, you're not cursed, Jake said with growing excitement. You're a living library. Your people stored their entire civilization in you. What do you mean? The energy connection doesn't just let you share memories. It lets you access all the knowledge your people ever had. That's why the city is still alive. It's connected to you and through you to everything the Nethys people ever knew. Zara stared at him in shock, but the plague killed them all. Their bodies died, but their knowledge lives in you. That's why you survived when they didn't. You're not the last of your people. You are your people. As Jake spoke, he felt the truth of his words through their connection. Zara was indeed a living repository of Nethys' knowledge, but she had been too consumed by guilt to realize it. If that's true, Zara said slowly, then maybe I can find a way to control my power. Maybe I can access the knowledge of how to reverse the modification. Jake nodded. But you don't have to do it alone. I can help you. How? Through our connection. I can help you sort through the memories and knowledge. I can be your anchor to the present while you explore the past. Zara looked at him with hope. For the first time since they had met, you would do that? Even knowing the danger? I would do anything to help you, Jake said. And he meant it. They spent the next several hours exploring Zara's inherited memories together. Jake learned about the incredible biotechnology of the Nethys people. They had created living buildings that could grow and change. They had developed medicine that could cure any disease. They had even learned to modify their own bodies to live longer and healthier lives. Your people were amazing, Jake said as they rested. They were, Zara agreed. But they were also proud. They thought they could control any force in the universe. The plague taught them otherwise. But they were right. About one thing, Jake said. They could control the modification they made to you. The knowledge is there, hidden in your memories. Then we need to find it, Zara said with determination. As they prepared to dive deeper into the ancient knowledge, Jake felt something else through their connection. Far above them in space, ships were approaching. Ships that didn't belong to humanity. Zara, he said urgently. We're not alone anymore. She felt it too through their link. Someone else has found us. Jake looked up at the ceiling as if he could see through it to the stars beyond. And I don't think they're here to help. The golden age of the Nethys people was gone, but their knowledge lived on in Zara. And now, Jake was connected to that knowledge. As well, together they might be able to unlock the secrets of the past, but first, they would have to survive whatever was coming from the stars. The alien ships appeared in the sky like dark shadows against the stars. Jake watched them through the transparent ceiling of the city building, his heart racing with fear that wasn't entirely his own. Through their connection he could feel Zara's terror growing stronger. Who are they? Jake asked. Zara's face had gone pale. Vorthak. They are hunters. They search the galaxy for technology to steal and people to enslave. How do you know about them? My people met them long ago, before the plague. The Vorthak wanted our biotechnology, but we refused to share it. They swore they would return, one day to take it by force. Jake grabbed his communication device. Elena, we have a problem. There are alien ships approaching the planet. Elena's voice crackled through the speaker. We see them, Jake. 5 ships, all heavily armed. They're not responding to our communication attempts. Get the ship ready to leave, Jake said, and prepare the weapons. Jake, you need to get back here now, Elena said urgently, but Jake looked at Zara and saw the fear in her eyes. I'm not leaving her. Jake, please, Zara said. Go to your ship. These creatures are dangerous. They will kill you to get to me. Then I'm staying to protect you. Before Zara could argue, the first Vorthak ship landed near the city. Jake watched through the building's sensors as creatures emerged from the ship. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their faces were cruel and their eyes glowed red in the darkness. They look like insects, Jake said with disgust. They act like them too, Zara replied. They swarm over planets, taking what they want and leaving nothing behind. The Vorthak moved quickly through the city streets. Their weapons ready? Jake counted at least 30 of them, all heading toward the central building where he and Zara were hiding. They know exactly where to find us, Jake said. They can detect the energy signature of my people's technology, Zara explained. They have been hunting us for generations. Jake's communication device buzzed. Jake, this is Elena, the Vorthak, are demanding that we surrender the Nethys survivor to them. They say they have a legal claim to her. Legal claim? Jake said angrily. She's not property, that's what I told them. But Jake, they're threatening to destroy our ship if we don't comply. Jake looked at Zara, who had heard the conversation. I will go with them, she said quietly. I will not let them hurt your people because of me. No, Jake said firmly. We'll find another way. The Vorthak reached the building and began to surround it. Their leader, a creature taller than the others with more elaborate armor, stepped forward and spoke in a harsh, clicking language. The building's translation system converted his words into English. Nethys survivor, you will come with us. We have searched for your people for many cycles. You will give us the biotechnology we require. Zara stepped forward, her hands glowing with deadly energy. I am Zara of the Nethys. I will not go with you willingly. The Vorthak leader clicked his mandibles in what might have been laughter. You have no choice. We have studied your people. We know you cannot control your death touch. You are more dangerous to your human friends than to us. She's not alone, Jake said, stepping up beside Zara. And she's not as helpless as you think. The Vorthak leader focused his red eyes on Jake, a human. How interesting. You stand close to the Nethys without dying. This is unexpected and inconvenient for you, Jake said. Not inconvenient, useful. We will take you both. You will help us understand how to survive her touch so we can use her abilities. Jake felt anger surge through him, both his own and Zara's. That's not going to happen. The Vorthak leader made a gesture, and his soldiers raised their weapons. Then you will die and we will take her anyway. What happened next changed everything. As the Vorthak soldiers prepared to fire, Zara's protective instincts took over. She stepped in front of Jake, her hands blazing with energy, and unleashed her power on the attackers. The deadly bioelectric field expanded outward like a wave. The first Vorthak soldiers to be touched by it collapsed instantly, their bodies smoking. The others tried to retreat, but Zara's power was too fast and too strong. In seconds, 20 Vorthak soldiers lay dead on the ground around the building. Zara stared at what she had done, her face filled with horror. I killed them. I killed them all. Jake felt her anguish through their connection. The guilt of causing death, even to protect him, was tearing her apart. You saved us, he said gently. You saved my crew. I am a killer, Zara whispered. This is what I am. This is what I will always be. Jake took her hands in his, feeling the energy flow between them. You are a protector. You are someone who sacrifices herself to save others. More Vorthak ships were landing around the city. The surviving soldiers were calling for reinforcements, and Jake knew they would be overwhelmed soon. Elena, he said, into his communication device. We need help down here. We're coming, Elena's voice replied. Sam is preparing the shuttle with weapons. No, Jake said. It's too dangerous. These creatures are too strong. Then what do we do? Elena asked. Jake looked at Zara, who was still staring at the dead Vorthak soldiers. Through their connection, he could feel her mind working, accessing the ancient knowledge of her people. There might be a way, Zara said slowly. The biotechnology of my people includes defensive systems. If I can access the right memories, I might be able to activate the city's defenses. What kind of defenses? Living weapons. Creatures created by my people to protect our cities from invaders. Jake felt both hope and fear. Can you control them? I don't know. But I have to try. Zara closed her eyes and reached deep into the inherited memories of her people. Jake stayed connected to her, helping her navigate through centuries of knowledge. Together they found what they were looking for. The city began to change around them. The walls started to pulse with new energy, and the floor beneath their feet became warm and alive. Outside, Jake could see the streets reshaping themselves, creating barriers and weapons. It's working, Jake said in amazement, but the effort was draining Zara quickly. Jake could feel her strength fading through their connection. The process of awakening the city's defenses was taking more energy than she had. I can't maintain this much longer, Zara said weakly. Then we need to end this quickly, Jake said. He helped her focus the city's power on the remaining Vorthak. Forces, living metal tendrils emerged from the ground, wrapping around the invaders and neutralizing their weapons. The city itself became a weapon, protecting its last inhabitant and her human companion. The Vorthak leader, seeing his forces defeated, retreated to his ship. But before leaving, he transmitted a message to Jake and Zara. This is not over, humans. We will return with more ships, more soldiers. The Nethys biotechnology will be ours. As the Vorthak ships fled into space, Jake held Zara as she collapsed from exhaustion. You did it, he said. You saved us all, but at what cost? Zara asked. I used my people's knowledge to create weapons. I became everything they would have. Hated. You became what you needed to be, Jake said. You became a guardian. Elena's voice came through the communication device. Jake, are you both okay? We're alive, Jake said. But this isn't over. The Vorthak will be back, and next time they'll be prepared for the city's defenses. Then we need to be prepared too, Elena said. And we need to find a way to help Zara control her abilities permanently. Jake looked at Zara, who was slowly recovering her strength. There might be a way, he said, but it's dangerous. What are you thinking? Zara asked. The connection between us is getting stronger. Maybe if we make it permanent, I can help you control your power all the time. Zara's eyes widened. That could kill you. The process would change you forever. Then, that's a risk I'm willing to take, Jake said, as they prepared to return to the ship. Jake knew that their greatest challenge was still ahead. The Vorthak would return, and when they did, he and Zara would need to be ready. The choice was clear. They could run and hide, or they could stand and fight. And Jake had already made his decision. He would do whatever it took to help Zara find peace and to protect both their peoples from the darkness that was coming. The medical bay of the New Horizon had never seen anything like what Jake was about to attempt. Dr. Elena Vasquez and engineer Tony Martinez had worked for 3 days straight to modify the ship's medical equipment with Nethi's biotechnology that Zara had helped them understand. Are you sure about this? Elena asked Jake for the 10th time. The procedure could kill you or change you so much that you won't be human anymore. Jake looked at Zara, who stood nearby with worry in her deep blue eyes. Through their connection, he could feel her fear for him. I'm sure, he said. This is the only way to help her gain full control of her abilities. The Vorthak ships are still out there, Communications Officer Kate Williams reported from the bridge. Long-range sensors show at least 20 vessels gathering in the outer system. Then we don't have much time. Jake said. Tony finished the last connections between the human medical equipment and the Nethi's biocircuits. The system is ready, he said. But Jake, once we start this process, we can't stop it halfway. Zara stepped forward and took Jake's hand. You don't have to do this for me. I can learn to live with my curse. It's not a curse, Jake said gently. And I'm not doing this just for you. I'm doing it for both our peoples. If we can make this work, you can help us understand biotechnology that could benefit everyone. Elena activated the medical scanners. Lie down on the table, Jake. We'll monitor everything as closely as we can. Jake lay down on the modified medical table while Zara positioned herself beside him. Her hands glowed with soft blue energy as she prepared to share her bioelectric field with him permanently. Remember, Elena said, the goal is to create a stable connection that allows Jake to help Zara modulate her power. If Jake's neural patterns start to destabilize, we stop immediately. Understood, Zara said. The procedure began slowly. Zara placed her hands on Jake's chest, and the familiar energy flowed between them. But this time, instead of just touching the surface of his mind, she went deeper. Jake felt his consciousness expanding as Zara's bioelectric field merged with his own neural network. He could suddenly sense every living thing on the ship, from the smallest bacteria to his crewmates. On the bridge, the sensation was overwhelming at first, but gradually he learned to control it. Neural integration at 15%, Elena reported. Jake's brain patterns are adapting well. Through the growing connection, Jake could access more of Zara's inherited memories. He saw the complete history of the Nethi's people, their rise to greatness, their mastery of biotechnology, and their tragic fall to the plague, but more importantly, he found what they were looking for. Deep in the ancient knowledge was the original design for Zara's healing abilities, before they had been modified into weapons of death. I can see it, Jake said, his voice strange and distant, the original pattern of your healing touch. The modification that made you deadly was like adding too much power to a delicate system. Can you help me reverse it? Zara asked. Not reverse it, Jake said, but I can help you control it. I can be like a filter, helping you choose when to heal and when to defend. The integration continued. Jake felt his human consciousness blending with Zara's alien awareness. He was still himself, but he was also something more. He could feel the living city far below, responding to their combined presence. He could sense the approaching Vorthak ships and the fear of his own crew. Neural integration at 60%, Elena announced. This is incredible. Jake's brain is actually growing new neural pathways. How do you feel? Zara asked Jake. Different, Jake admitted, but still me. I can feel your emotions as if they were my own, but I can also feel mine separately. Lieutenant Sam Parker's voice came through the communication system. Captain, the Vorthak fleet is moving toward the planet. They'll be here in 2 hours. The procedure needs to finish, Tony said. We can't stop now. Jake felt a surge of determination from Zara. Then we finish it quickly, she said. She increased the power of the connection, and Jake felt his consciousness fully merge with hers. For a moment he lost track of where he ended and she began. They were one being with two bodies, sharing thoughts and emotions completely, but then Jake's human will asserted itself. He pushed back gently, creating a boundary between them while maintaining the connection. I'm still me, he said with relief. And you're still you, but now we're linked. Neural integration complete, Elena said in amazement. Jake, your brain. Scans show activity in areas that don't exist in normal human anatomy. Jake sat up slowly and looked at his hands. They glowed with the same soft blue energy as Zara's, but the light was gentler, more controlled. It worked, he said. Zara held out her hand and Jake took it. The energy flowed between them, but now it was balanced and stable. I can feel the difference, she said with wonder. The power is still there, but it's not fighting to escape anymore. Can you control when it's deadly and when it's healing? Elena asked. Zara nodded. With Jake's help, yes. His presence in my mind gives me an anchor, a way to focus the energy. Precisely. They didn't have time to celebrate. The Vorthak fleet was approaching rapidly, and this time they came prepared for war. 20 ships filled with soldiers, weapons, and technology designed to capture Zara and steal her people's knowledge. All hands to battle stations, Jake said, his voice carrying new authority. We're going to defend this planet. Jake, we have one small ship against 20, Elena protested. This is suicide, not if we have the city's help, Jake said. He looked at Zara. Can you awaken the planetary defenses? With your help, yes, Zara said. But it will require us to go back to the surface. They took the shuttle down to the planet as the Vorthak fleet entered orbit. This time, both Jake and Zara glowed with bioelectric energy as they landed in the city. The moment they touched the ground, the entire planet began to change. The Nephi city expanded rapidly, growing new buildings and defenses. Living metal. Creatures emerged from the ground, ready to fight. The planet itself became a weapon. By the stars, Kate's voice came through the communication system. The whole planet is lighting up like a Christmas tree. The Vorthak ships descended, expecting to face the same weak defenses they had encountered before. Instead, they found a living world that fought back. Bioelectric cannons grew from the ground and fired energy bolts that disabled their ships. Living metal tendrils reached into space and pulled vessels down to the surface, but the most amazing thing was what happened to Zara. With Jake's help, she could now control her deadly touch precisely. When Vorthak soldiers tried to capture her, she could choose to simply stun them instead of killing them. When her own people's technology was damaged in the fighting, she could heal it with a gentle touch. This is incredible, Elena said as she watched from the ship. She's not just controlling her power, she's using it the way it was meant to be used. The battle was over quickly. The Vorthak, faced with a planet that could defend itself and a Nethys who could control her abilities, retreated into space. Their leader sent one final message. We will remember this defeat, humans. We will not forget the power you have gained. Good, Jake replied. Maybe next time you'll think twice before trying to enslave peaceful people. After the Vorthak left, Jake and Zara stood together in the restored city. The buildings were alive and beautiful again, responding to their combined presence. For the first time in 300 years, Zara was not alone. What happens now? Elena asked as she joined them on the surface. Jake looked at Zara, feeling her thoughts through their permanent connection. Now we go home, he said. Together. To Earth? Elena asked in surprise. Zara has agreed to come with us, Jake said. As humanity's first alien ambassador? Her knowledge and abilities could help both our peoples. But won't she be dangerous to others? Elena asked. Zara smiled and held out her hand to Elena. Not anymore, she said. Watch. She touched Elena's arm gently, and instead of death, Elena felt a warm, tingling sensation. She's healing a muscle strain I didn't even know I had, Elena said in amazement. The curse is broken, Jake said. Zara can now choose to heal or to harm, and with our connection, she'd never have to be alone again. As they prepared to leave the planet, Zara took one last look at her people's city. They would be proud, she said softly. They are proud, Jake said, feeling the ancient memories through their link, and their legacy lives on through you. The New Horizon left orbit with its most precious cargo, hope for the future. Jake and Zara worked together in the ship's medical bay. Using her controlled abilities to heal injuries and illnesses among the crew, Elena watched them work and marveled at how perfectly they complemented each other. Jake's human determination and Zara's alien wisdom created something greater than either could achieve alone. You realize this changes everything, Elena said to Jake during a quiet moment. I know, Jake replied, but change isn't always bad. What? About you? Do you regret what you've become? Jake looked at Zara, who was carefully tending to an injured crew member with her healing touch. Through their connection, he felt her contentment and hope for the future. I regret nothing, he said. I found something worth changing for. As the ship traveled toward Earth, Jake and Zara planned their new life together. She would share her people's knowledge with humanity, helping them develop new medicine and technology. In return,